So, hi guys, and welcome to another video. So, today we're learning about the Refactor the project from blah blah blah. It's a bit too long to explain.
So the last time we learned the functional programming.
Mm-hmm.
So this time I'll help you to make a project become a functional programming kind of style. Because your current style is just like a procedural style. So first of all, we need to create a project folder. So before this point, you put all your Python files in one folder.
Which was really dumb. Yeah, the name was so dumb.
So in that folder,
I wish I could change it.
Yeah, that's the point we need to change. So in that folder, you have all those different projects mixed together. But what we really want is to have a simple folder that only contains your project. So I think your projects are here. So we can just create a new folder, call it backroom. Backroom? Is that okay? Or backroom escape?
Just backroom.
Just backroom. Okay. So this is our backroom file. We just put it in your code editor. We can say open. Then you find that folder. So it will open this whole folder in this project. So here you can see the only file is the backroom for the moment. And now we can start to create files. So for example, usually there's a file called the main. So that's like the main entrance of the whole thing. And last time, if you still remember, last time we said we want to move all those different logics to its own module, right? So we need to create a few different modules here. So for example, there should be a rooms. And there should be should we put S there?
And then is there one more?
What are the things we have? We have the main logic. Maybe we have a
logic, like other.
No. Usually you don't put other. Usually you do the. For example, this is the main game logic, right? So we can call it like a gameplay.
Gameplay can be together.
And then
do we just copy paste that?
And I think we have players, right? Player related stuff. So we have a player.
Sanity.
I think we don't do this. It's easier to. So sanity, all those things are part of the player. Now let's try to put one simple thing to one of the module and then test to see if that works. Which part do we want to do? Maybe we just put get the rooms.
Yeah. Haven't added level 10 yet.
So if we put the rooms in this file. Oops. Here, if we say So the rooms was here. Room.rooms. So that way it should find the rooms from the room module. Let's do a simple test, see if that works. So we need to go to the new project. Yeah. We still use that one because we're just testing. Yeah, it still works, right? So we have the room information displayed. Yeah, okay. So that verifies the module stuff, how it works. Now we need to put more and more things into different places to make it work. So here, what can we do is from the top to the bottom, we do them one by one. So the first thing is the difficulties. So where do you think the difficulties should be? Which module?
In player. Wait, in players.py.
Where which part is difficulty?
Well, like gameplay.
Yeah. So it should be part of the gameplay, right? So for start, you can just copy those things to the file first. But we need to give it a name. So
but there's still some more code you haven't copied.
That's fine. Just for the start. So because we need to make it a function that can be called by the other outside, right? So this block of code, what do you think it's doing?
It's just not good. It's just doing the difficulty.
It's getting the difficulty from the player to input, right? So we can call this function. What's the name? Shall we call this function?
Player difficulty input.
Usually you use the verb first, and then there's a noun after the verb to say this is some kind of action. The function usually is action, right? So it's starting with a verb is a good idea. So in this example, we will call it get difficulty. So that way it's very clear that it's trying to get the difficulty.
But it has like problems.
No problem. Yeah, so remember, so it doesn't need to take any parameters for the moment because the difficulty will come from the input, right? So here we get the difficulty and set the difficulty to a certain thing. Then what should we do?
IDK.
Because this is now outside of the main game main function.
Yeah, you need to go to the main function to run it.
To use it.
Yeah.
But for the main function to get the result from inside the here, because we remember the scope thing. So difficulty now is inside this get difficulty function. It's no longer in the scope of the outside global scope. So what do you need to do? You need to return this difficulty where you got from the player, from the input to outside the main logic. Yeah. So if we do this, now in the here we no longer need this, right? We can say difficulty equals, we need to import the difficulty first. Yeah, import the gameplay, right? So the whole difficulty, now we don't need to say equals import or whatever, all those logic. We can just say gameplay dot get difficulty, brackets, and that's it. So whatever gets returned from this function will be put into the difficulty variables here. So that way it's straightforward, right? So now next we have the player sanity. So where should those logic go?
Player.
Yes. So in the player, we just need to copy those things to the player. So this is the map. We don't need to use it outside, but this is the part we need to use. Yeah. So what name should it be?
Should be sanity, or you can do right change P. Wait, players.
Yeah, remember the rule?
Oh yeah. Get sanity.
So this is like, yeah, you can say set player
Okay.
sanity.
Okay then.
Right. So here we have this big block of, not big, this small piece of logic. So the sanity equals, this map is inside here, so that's okay, because from the scope point of view, this map can be used inside. And even better, we can just put it inside the function, because as a functional kind of rule, it's kind of okay to put the map in the module scale, because in case you need to use it later in other function, but currently we don't need to use this map anywhere else. It's just for this function, so we put this map variable inside the function. So it's only used by this scope. You put it within the scope. You don't need to put it outside. Okay. And then here you can see that it's reminding us there's no difficulty here, right? Because the difficulty is in the main scope outside this module, this function. What should you do? Remember the function? What's the function about? It's about input and output, right? So the input here, should we make the difficulty as an input?
Yeah.
So where should we put this?
I don't know.
So when you define a function in the brackets, this is where you put the inputs.
Oh, okay.
Remember? So you can put the input here, and then you can get this from outside, right? So when you get this out from outside, and after you've done this, you need to do what?
You need a return.
Yes, you need to return the player sanity to outside. Okay, so now we have this set player sanity.
Now we need to do the MFRs.
So here, all those things we don't need, right?
Yeah.
So player sanity, I think probably should call it get, because we still need to get it. It's not set. Set is like we set it somewhere else in the cache or database or somewhere. So if we call it get player sanity, that makes more sense, I think. So player sanity equals get player sanity, and then you need to pass the stuff inside. What should you pass? So those logics are gone. They're inside the.
You need to pass the variables, the input.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Yeah, difficulty. So you need to pass the difficulty input to this function, but this function is still warning why. It's from another module.
It needs to have the input.
Yeah, remember? It's from the other file, which is another module. So what you do is you need to import the module, and then say the module dot the function. The function inside that module is no longer here. You cannot just call it straight away. So this way you can call the module by this. Yeah. Make sense? So you do the MFR ones now.
So we gotta copy the whole entire diff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
From the start.
Yeah, from the start. So it's easier to just select the start point. So you put your point at the start, and then you just scroll down to the point you want to end, right? You press Shift, click.
Okay.
Right?
Comment.
Yeah. So put in the MFR module. Save. Now we need to get it from the MFR module. Back to the yeah, it's already good. So these parts we don't need, can delete. Yeah. And instead we need to get it from the MFR module. Yeah.
Does this thing anything like return?
This is a variable kind of thing in the module. See how we do the rooms? That's how you do the MFRs.
Oh.
There's the S. Dot. Good job. So that way we get the MFRs from the MFRs module now. Okay. Now directions, where should that be?
In gameplay.
Are you sure?
With player.
What do you think is the directions are part of? What kind of things?
Like the gameplay and like rooms.
Yeah, so it's part of the rooms, right? Rooms got directions. So you should put this in the rooms module.
But there's also room stuff here.
That's part of the later. Let's move the directions first. So directions should be part of the room module. So move the directions to the room module. So you can use Command X to cut, and then go to the room. You can just paste, right? And same here. So usually the same type of things, you put them together, so it's easier to see. So those are still part of the main game logic, I think. These two lines are kind of part of the when you start the game, right?
Yeah, but this part I don't think it needs.
You don't need it anymore?
Yeah.
Okay. So we can remove those. I think they're interesting.
No, like the first one.
This one is no longer needed, right?
Yeah, like.
Because this is part of the room kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this line is like when you start the game, you print out this kind of information. So in the gameplay, we can move it in the gameplay logic. Say, there's a function called start game. Yeah. So here we want to, when the game actually starts here, we should put it actually here. So import from, you can practice. Import from gameplay, import game, have we import? We already have. So you can just say gameplay dot, because the file name has underscore. But if you want, we can change the name to without underscore, because
yeah,
kind of okay either way. Yeah, what's missing? It is a function, so yes, good. So next we have the main game loop here. Okay. So this is a big kind of thing. We probably need to have several steps to move this whole logic into piece by piece. Yeah, I think first of all we can move all those things to the main because we no longer need this backroom kind of thing because this is right. We don't need it anymore. Okay, delete it.
What?
Now everything is in the main. It's the same, right? So this way it's cleaner. We know it's this is the main. All those modules. Probably we should do a little bit test first, see if it still works before we go forward. So because we've moved everything to the main, oops, didn't work. Import and file. There's something wrong with this file. You changed this file.
Wait, the one that says Bluebird. I think it's the one here.
Oh, random. Oh, you put the random attack here. Okay, that's why.
Yeah, I wanted to do that.
Okay, so that way we need to import the random here. Yeah. So if you need to use it, you need to import it. But that's why it's in a yellow kind of color. It's not. Okay. So now it should work. Okay, cool. So everything still works. Now this main logic, that's still huge. So let's do the same thing as before. We make a small piece out, small piece out. Okay. So at the beginning, enter the room. You want to print out the room information. So that's the enter room kind of thing. So we can say this is the function in the enter room, in the room module. That you go inside the room. I'm missing commas everywhere. Are those two the same?
Yeah.
Shouldn't need the same thing, right? Or do you want just add the chance kind of thing? You need to remember the commas, otherwise it's not gonna work. Okay. Enter room. So what it does is print out the current room. But here we don't have current room. What shall we do?
I don't know.
Remember this thing? How do you get it?
With brackets?
Yeah. So any variable you want to bring inside the function from outside, it needs to be passed in as a parameter.
Okay.
Or arguments. So how do you use this enter room now? So this we no longer need. We want to call that enter room function. How do you call it?
You need to do like room.
Yeah. Yeah. And what else? Good job. So you need to input the thing, the variable, into the function. Okay. So next block, what is it about?
Next block's about the MFR chances.
Yeah. So it will. Where should this logic belong?
Going to MFR.
Yes.
WI.
Yeah. So this is a function because it's something. What shall we call it? Encounter
Chance.
MFR. Let's check if there's anything we need. So it's doing something about player sanity. and then nothing else. So we don't have player sanity here. What should we do?
Delete it.
Delete it is not gonna work. So you need to use the sanity to do the calculation, right? So here in content method, it should get an input.
So do we input it?
Yeah, we should get an input. Yeah, so you get the sanity from outside. You do your calculation here, player sanity equals minus MFR, whatever. And then we need to give the sanity back to outside, right? So what do you do?
Return.
Yes. You need to remember your spaces. Where do you put the return? Is it here? Actually, you're right. My question is actually, should this return be inside the if or outside the if? So this is outside the if, this is inside the if.
Probably inside.
Why do you think it should be inside?
Because it won't happen if it's outside.
Yeah, if it's out. Yeah, you can type that first. Yeah. Return what?
Return.
Return after the return is the variable name you want to return to outside. There's no brackets. Return is return space. Yeah, and the variable. Yeah. So the reason we want to put this return outside of the if is because we want to return the sanity no matter what the player get hit or not. So if we put the player sanity inside the if, then it will only return the player sanity when the player got hit by the MFR. But when the player didn't encounter the MFR, it will return nothing. Then when we set the sanity outside equals this function, call this function to get this player sanity. Well, if the player didn't get hit, the player sanity will be nothing. Then that's a bug. So no matter what, we want to return the player sanity from this function. So outside, when we use it, we can just say player sanity equals player sanity. So this is the part that it's like you always get something. When you input something, you always get something back. No matter what happens inside the function, the outside doesn't care because it just expects to always get the player sanity back from this function, right?
Okay.
So this way you extracted the logic and the outside, the caller doesn't matter. Okay, so next block. So this is about win and lose, yeah? So here, there's an interesting thing here is like we break the whole while loop with this thing. So let's just first copy this. Where should this go?
This should go into player.
Player or gameplay? I'm thinking.
Yeah. I think it'll go into gameplay. Instead of now.
Yeah, I think gameplay because this is like win or lose, right? Yeah. This is the losing part, right? What should be the name?
Lose.
Lose. Yeah. So it needs the time module. Oops. What else does it need? What else does it need? Does it need any
Yeah, the player sanity.
Yeah, good.
I don't really remember where to.
It's always inside the
Oh, yeah.
brackets. So this is the definition of this function. So your input will be for this function. So that's why the variables should be put in this function's definition. So it's defining this rules function that comes with some variables.
And the variable rounds?
Yes.
But
so you can take 2 inputs, remember? You can take any number of input. How do you do that? Separate it with a comma. So you put a comma and then you say the next variable is yes. So as you can see here, there's a break, but it's not shouldn't be here because break is not a word that you can use inside the inside a function. It's to break a while loop. It's not used to break your because it's the same like variable scope. When you break something, you need to be in that scope first to break it. If you're outside that scope, it's not gonna happen. So instead of this, what should we do?
Write the break on the main thing.
But we need to let the main thing know whether the player has lost or not. Yes. What should we return here? We wanted the main loop know whether the player has lost or not. But there's no such thing as lost or not. So something is yes or no. What do we use? What do we use to say something is yes or no?
True and false.
Okay. So here you can say, yeah, uppercase. Yeah. So remember, as a function, you always return the same thing. So if the player has lost, you return yes. So if the player hasn't lost, what do you return? You need to return false as well. So where should you put return false?
In the main game.
No, here it's here checking whether the player has lost or not. So here we can see we inside the if. When this condition is yes, we return yes. So when should we return false? If the player hasn't lost. So it's like what?
If
else
player sanity.
You don't need to else. You don't need
else false. Okay.
Right? Is that right? So if the player is got less than 0 kind of sanity, the player has lost. Else hasn't lost. But this can be even simpler because when in a function, when you call the return, the function itself will actually break at the point when it returns. So anything after the return will not be called at all. So the return acts as a break inside the function. So since if this logic is true, we return the true already. So when it comes to the next line, it will not even wrong. But if this logic is not true, then it should go to the next line. So here you can actually do something like this. You can even do it without the else.
Okay.
Because when you return true, the function has been stopped already. So it will not call return false again. Basically, it can only return one thing. When that thing is returned, everything else is not going to run anymore. Okay. So this way you get a true or false from the loss function. Now outside, I'll just do it for you. So instead of the player sanity equals 0 kind of check, all those things we no longer need, right? But we still want to break the while. So this is where we use that true and false to break it. So even inside the if, you can call the function as the condition of the if. So if the game is over, then you break. Make sense? So when this returns true, break. If it's false, we do nothing, we continue.
Okay.
Yeah, is that interesting? It's another dimension of logic. Yeah. So we can do the same for the wing, right? Now you can do the wing part maybe.
We'll copy it.
I need to define the function first. There's a line helping you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so now we need to call it. Right? You did. It's the same as this. Yeah, we need to pass things inside, right? So in the gameplay, you have defined 3 things. So when you pass those 3 things inside, you can just copy it. Yeah. Yeah. Good. You've done your function. I think that should be enough for today. You've done a lot already. So next time, this big block will use some other more functional ways to do it. I'll teach you another 2 or 3 methods about functional programming. We'll leave those 2 blocks for the next time.
So that's it.
Let's play the game, see if it still works. Oops. What's that?
Oh.
Oh, you got hit by something. Missing to require player sanity. So that's where I forgot to pass in the variables. So loose, we have these 2 variables. We need to pass this thing. Yeah. Let's see if we can finish the game. Did I get a hit? Oops. Oops.
I just if Maxwell got you 25 sanity,
Oh.
okay, good thing. As long as you didn't get attacked by Maxwell, you would have been dead.
Okay.
Like, not dead, but would have 0 HP.
Okay, let's try another lost scenario. Let's only get 2.1 sanity. What?
Yeah, usually you instant win or you just go there for a long time.
Ah, that's why. That works. Okay, everything still works.
That's it.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.